Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring, let we rule them all. Hope you'll remember your town. Get your Ulu feathers and your Middle guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to count. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.
Your bucket full of cordyceps sized podcast.
So today we're going to talk about a mysterious topic.
Because Guy doesn't know.
Because Guy doesn't know. That's why I put, what's our topic today? Join us.
Yes.
And find out.
I was going to say we could talk about that third episode of The Last of Us, but I think I'm probably the only one out of the three of us that have seen it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. The third episode of Last of Us has me saying that it's already beaten Walking Dead. So it's like, here's how you tell a story and not worry at all about the zombie part of the story. This is how these characters, here's some character development. Here's some stuff to make you really care for these characters. This is how the story goes. Oh, there's some zombies over there.
Whatever, zombies, whatever.
Yeah. So I'm very impressed, and they're only 3 episodes in.
Cool.
And the good news for Guy is there's barely any jump scares in it.
Barely. That's actually, barely is tolerable. So I can put up with it. I won't like it, but I'll put up with the barely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but there has been another rash of people passing away because it looks like we lost Cindy Williams and Andy Wershing and one other person. Oh, the original Wednesday Addams.
Oh.
The little girl that was Wednesday Addams in the 60s TV show.
So they weren't all Star Trek people.
No, just Annie Wershing, who was the Borg Queen in Picard. So she actually apparently took the part in Picard knowing she had cancer. And I was like, well, that's depressing. So this is actually kind of traumatic because, of course, the cast of Picard just had her with them like 2 years ago. So it's very fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of sad. But yeah,
I mean,
Cindy Williams, of course, was Shirley in Laverne and Shirley. And she passed.
Of course.
Away. And, well, it doesn't really matter unless you grew up in the 80s, at which time Laverne and Shirley was sort of a staple of random TV.
Yep. You know? I've seen plenty of episodes of Laverne and Shirley, but I had no idea.
They didn't commit any of the names were. Penny Marshall, but that's not because she was in the show, but because she's produced so much stuff.
Yeah, well, she passed away 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So no more Laverne and Shirley episodes are coming, is what you're saying.
Right. There will be no more Laverne and Shirley episodes. Or original Addams Family.
Well, we'll just have to CGI them to bring them back to life since we have that technology. Yeah, I think Alex was going to say something before you went into the.
Well, I like it better to do the depressing stuff and then come back to the good stuff. So good stuff.
Okay. I mean, if we're talking about Walking Dead, I think I mentioned this before that Lauren and I tried to watch Walking Dead. Watched one episode, like this is just dumb people yelling at each other. We're done.
Yeah.
We also. And The Last of Us, the show, is based off the game, right?
It is, and apparently this third episode is where it's diverged the most from what I've read.
Okay.
And that it's the characters that they introduce, one of the characters is in the game, and the other character that they introduced you never see in the game, but they talk about. So
I was figuring I'd just get around to playing the game, and I don't need to watch the show. I lived it.
The acting's really good, and I'm just. So we'll see where it goes with it. So far, there hasn't been like really, really stupid things in the The only yelling that's happened has been like reasonable yelling. Like it makes sense that they're yelling at each other, and there's times where they're like going, shh, don't say anything, stop yelling, because they're people that will eat us. So,
What channel's Last of Us?
oh,
on?
there you go. Yep, HBO Max.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be on our Friday night rotation after we finish his Dark Materials, because it's not that gory, unlike Walking Dead, which means it's potentially friendly for Mariah and Tara.
Okay.
But yeah, like what Brent's saying there, hits you in the feels.
So is there a character named Meg or something like that in The Last of Us?
Is that her name?
I don't know.
Well, why do you bring it up?
Because that was the other connection with Andy Wershing. Because she was apparently one of the characters in The Last of Us.
Hello, Donald.
There's a character named Mel, supporting
Mel.
character.
That's who she was. She was Mel in the game. She was
Okay.
the voice of Mel in the game.
All right.
So there you go.
But
Andy
not
Wershing.
not in the show.
No, in the game. So rest in peace, Andy Wershing.
Mhm. Yep. Pedro Pascal.
Mhm.
What else was there? Oh, I watched the first 10 minutes of the animated Velma show, but had to stop because other people got home. I was watching it because I've heard so many people say it's just utterly horrible and just like the worst thing ever, and your eyes will explode and you'll die or something.
That's totally what
that
I was
makes
saying.
it different than Scooby Doo. How?
Right. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this because so many people hate it, and so far it's one of these things where it's like it's not as horrible as people are saying, but it's not great. It's just sort of there. It does a thing that I see a lot of sitcoms do. It's kind of laughing at its own jokes, which is that's one of my pet peeves on stage, is like, because you break character if you laugh at your own joke. But I know that I get that the audience loves it when one person on stage makes the other person on stage cracks up.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that I have to accept, that even though I think it's a bad thing, I know the audience loves seeing that, so let it happen. And
How dare you
I
view
know
something and make your own opinion, you goddamn sheep.
that's right. But it's doing a lot of the. Have you ever noticed how the first 10 minutes of any show, the pilot episode, there's more sex and violence than any of the other episodes in it, and they're doing that while having a shower scene in it. So they're making fun of the tropes by imitating the tropes and pointing them out.
Yeah, lampshade hanging. Yeah.
So it's like, it's okay, and I think I could see how some people might like it, but I don't think it deserves quite the slam. Not, at least not the first 10 minutes doesn't deserve the slamming that it's got so far.
Right.
Oh, see that that's because you were talking about Scooby Doo. We're talking about lampshade hanging and laughing at your own jokes. I also have to think of Venture Brothers and how fantastic a job it does.
It is great.
Being in
That
there,
lampshade
and
hanging.
I'm playing Persona 5 Royale right now. And one of the characters that's like the legal guardian of the main character is so Rusty Venture. He's not a super scientist, but he owns a coffee shop, but he's got like his same kind of hunched over posture, the same kind of chin beard. It's like, don't make any trouble for me, kid, or you're gonna get expelled. It's like he like love hates his job and thinks he has a way with the ladies. I'm like, dude, this is so. Whoever made this character loves the Venture Brothers.
Nice.
His voice is much more pleasant than Rusty Venture's, though. So there's that.
Oh, hey, speaking of stuff, on your recommendation, got around to watching Cruella.
Cruella, yeah.
Cruella, nice movie.
It's a fun little movie.
I absolutely see Julie in that ballroom scene when she's hitting people with the stick,
Oh yes.
the cane.
Oh
I mean.
yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
And there's
Julie
like
being my D&D character.
in the one of the henchmen you might recognize as is his name Stingray?
Oh, is that Stingray?
Stingray from Cobra Kai.
I haven't watched Cruella since I started watching Cobra Kai, so that's cool.
But that was
I can see
Stingray,
that.
and I was looking up the trivia, and that's why he's not in one of the seasons, because he was filming that movie.
Ah,
it's like
nice.
this character broke his arm and now he's out of the season. That's why
Yep.
his character's not here.
I'm now in season 5 of Cobra Kai, and though I'm still enjoying watching it, I still think the fight scenes are pretty decent. I'm still invested in some of the characters' development and arcs. Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso, and his and Chosen from Okinawa. I'm like, y'all are fucking bunglers. Bunglers! What is wrong with you?
Did
How
we
did you
watch
get so
season
bad
5?
at this?
That's the character who runs into the Daniel's talking to an old rival who turns out to not really be that bad of a guy at the furniture store, and then Chosen like beats up all of his workers on the back dock kind of thing. It's like the over ambitious combat character in a role playing group who it's like,
Well-
what, we're talking now? No, we're not. Fight.
Yeah, so Brad says he couldn't get into
I was
Cobra
asking
Kai.
Troy, have we watched season 5?
I thought we've been watching some of it. I don't remember where you were.
Well, that's this. Herein lies the rub.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't want to talk to Alex about this in case I am past Alex. On the same
Oh.
token, I don't want Alex to talk if he is past us. And so I'm trying to figure out, because I'm like, yeah, I've been kind of feeling very much like.
Well, we can stop talking about, or we can try to decide where we are if you want to just choose some.
Okay, it
scenery.
looks like there's only 5 seasons currently, so
Yeah.
you can't be past season 5.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm in,
so
like
the
season.
question
I'm on,
I
like,
got
episode
was,
3
did we
of 5.
complete Cobra Kai?
Well, that I don't think you have because. Well, wait.
Then we are
Did-
almost at your point, then, Alex.
I mean,
Okay.
wait a minute. You guys were here last time and we watched it. I think didn't we get through it?
I feel like we did, because I feel
Yeah.
like we were at the
I feel like we hit the
The-
end.
cliffhanger of, and now for the next season, which will be not now.
In fact, I know that we did because I said at the end of it, next time we don't have a Mariah, because Mariah wasn't interested in Cobra Kai, so that's why we were watching it, because Tara was. The next time we don't have a Mariah, we can go back to watching The Boys, since that's one of those things that Mariah definitely doesn't want to see and Tara doesn't want to see. So
Yeah, Mariah's not into Cobra Kai, which is fine.
well, she doesn't like the bad decisions that many of the characters make. I think it pushes her buttons too much to see someone make a bad decision the way they make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Oh, it's why I don't like.
For the most
Breaking
part,
Bad.
I think that a lot of the characters make bad decisions in character to make those bad decisions.
Mhm.
Except that I'm in season 5, and I'm like, this dynamic duo are just bunglers at this point. They should not be making these bad decisions.
Mhm.
Now I really got into Cobra Kai because I mean I like bad things. Certain bad things I really love. I mean my fandom of Fist of the North Star knows no bounds.
Right. Well,
Anyway.
there are certain things where they're bad and horrible, and you still love them.
Right. So with Cobra Kai, to me, it has to do with a lot of the. Not only is there some good lessons in the Karate Kid movies, though they are fewer and farther between than you might think when you first watched them as a kid. I was part of this crazy martial artist conclave for years. And I'm not saying I didn't learn some good shit, because I absolutely did. And I was in a perfect part of my life too, of my self-loathing externalized into a death wish, to really, really get into it. And so a lot of Cobra Kai really reminds me of that, for weal or woe.
Mhm.
Right.
It does a thing that I like and is similar along the style of the stand-up comedy character slug that I would use, which is where you have a character doing all the wrong things to make fun of people who do all those wrong things and to call attention to it. So starting out with Lawrence's Johnny's character trying to teach kids and highlighting all of the things that are politically correct and he's absolutely incorrect in the way he does the things. But it sets him up for great character growth, because as it goes on, he becomes the good guy and the good guy becomes the bad guy. So.
Mhm.
Right.
I find I found it really cool because I liked, particularly Cobra Kai, took a movie that was relatively tropey, and then kept playing with the tropes back and forth. That was the thing I really liked. Like in Karate Kid, it was straight up. Daniel LaRusso was this kind of scrawny kid who was our hero, but he gets beat up by a bunch of bullies and then learns karate to beat up the bullies. Right? Okay, but that's kind of tropey, and it's only tropey because it kind of set the trope. But on the same token, it's still tropey. And so then they come into Cobra Kai and they immediately start flip-flopping that dynamic back and forth. And I loved it. And that's the part that I'm really enjoying about this particular series. I really like the fact that they, Johnny's an idiot, but he's not actually that stupid. He's just sounds stupid all the time. He starts out as the bad guy. Then he's a good guy. Then he's a bad guy. Then, like
No, I do love how they keep on harkening back to the original movies and like showing bits and pieces from each character's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love that it's like looking at it from a more meta perspective. I do love that it's really talking about one of the things it really talks about is the cycle of violence.
Yeah.
And generational violence. And I'm like, this is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of a comedy, just to help the medicine go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's the cycle of violence is something that I have been recently very much looking into. As you both know, I've been reading that book called Humankind. And it's about how we are by default not violent or mean to each other. That's not our base nature. And it's part of broken systems that make us into bad people. And one of the things he's talking about is the cycle of violence. You learn that people are bad because somebody is bad to you. Then you're bad to somebody else who then learns that people are bad and they're bad to somebody else. And so it's that cycle that keeps playing out, and it needs to be broken at some point, and then if we could break it all, if all of us could break that, yeah, good luck on that one. But if all of us could break that, then we would all start operating in our base nature, which is to take care of each other. Sort of his logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Donald, you're right. It's a big part of Johnny's character is that he's just living the way that he was taught. And since he had a horrible father situation, it just kind of carries over inadvertently.
Which is realistic. Every time I had a school bully, finding out more about them always ended up with, and their dad beats them, or their dad's not there and their mom beats them, or you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, every one of those always seemed to melt down to, and somebody beats them. And I'm like, eh. So by the end of the time when I was like, I started to really sympathize with the bullies, and they lost a whole lot of power with me. And that became very powerful. I noticed, man, I'm so sorry to hear that your mom beats you. Well, I'm going to get beat up for that. Let's not say that. Okay, learn that lesson.
This reminds me of the great sage Bill Hicks. He has a bit where he's like, a lot of comedians are doing a one-man show these days about their life. And you know what? Mine's so short I can do it right now as part of my stand-up set. Okay, so here we go. Hey, everybody. Daddy never fucked me and Mama never beat me. Good night.
Right?
Supported me in everything I wanted to do. Loved me all the time.
Right? I mean, it doesn't mean we don't end up screwed up some way. I'm still overweight, so I'm still like fighting my own demons.
Right?
So there's still demons, but at least the demons didn't necessarily come from my parents.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've got parent issues, from my natural father not being there, and then not getting along with my stepdad for forever and all that. But yeah. Don't have
It
those
would be
particular
normal.
issues.
So, I mean, it's one of those things. But yeah, it's break that cycle.
Yeah, it's like in I remember, let's see, Lauren and I watched Roots, gosh, years and years ago. Gosh, we've been married for like 20 years. But
Yep.
we watched Roots together years and years ago when the first, I think might have been the first place that we were living in, maybe the second. And there's a line in it which is if you when you when you kill a man, you make an enemy of his brother. And once again, talking about that cycle of violence.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, and that's one of the things that's fascinating is it's actually hard to kill people. It's really
You're not
hard to
trying.
kill
You're not trying hard enough.
I know. But what happens is that we have to be convinced. Yep, exactly. Donald's saying that. It's like it's a cycle. We help each other and we all grow up, or we hurt each other and we all grow down. And that's the way it goes, And it's true. And so it's kind of a thing.
back to the bucket of crabs.
Yep.
Yep, we got ourselves into like a dark zone over here, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Now would be a great time to talk about.
No.
Actually, I have good news. Y'all have heard this, but
Yes.
our half dozen viewers have not. I have a job offer conditional upon passing a background check, which I should do with no problem. So
I've expunged all the bad stuff.
4 to 5.
Anyway.
Thank you. My 4 to 5. It's good to know people. My 4 to 5 months of unemployment should be here, ending very soon.
Sweet.
Yep.
Which will put a crimp in our daily walks, though.
Yeah, I'm going to be working far away from you, Guy. I'm going to be working over at the Jefferson County Courthouse, the Taj.
Oh, you're going to be working at the Taj.
Or if not the Taj, then at least one of the buildings is only a few blocks away.
Yeah.
Your daily walk's going to be walking to work with him.
Yeah, right.
And then
That'd be a thing.
But yeah, so it should, especially during training. I think once I'm fully trained up, there's a hybrid option. But
we'll figure it out.
Few months. Yeah, we'll
figure it out. I'm not worried. We'll either. I mean, really, the worst case scenario is, I ride my bike here for a while, and then when it warms up, we go before you go to work, and before I go to work. Yeah, I know. George
needs attention.
George has a lot to say.
He wants his own podcast.
He really does.
I bet you he'll get more viewers than us in like the first week.
Oh my gosh! Don't. That's in my head. Because you're right.
George meowed through whatever you just said, so I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So yay. There's that. Thank you, George.
Yeah, I went out dancing last night. Celebratory dancing. Had a great time.
Yay!
Yeah, Mariah's still like, I hurt. Mariah went with it.
Yeah, somebody, Mariah included. So many of my friends are like, "God damn, Alex, you're a fucking machine." I'm like, "You're correct."
Right?
Yeah, I'm actually like, I bought this pair of dancing shoes a few months ago, like shortly before I was unemployed.
Right.
Like I bought them like in July, August, took them a while to come because I had them custom sized, and I'm starting to wear them out, and I only wear them once a week.
You are a machine.
I'm a machine. I'm the machine.
You're a dancing machine. Yeah.
So
Fun.
Yeah, good time.
So.
Good time.
Yeah, I've got my. I don't know what to call it. If it's it's not really an audition. I guess it's a 1 hour proving that I can do what they want me to do thing with the driving school tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds like an audition.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually, the material's not laid out in a way that not the way I would have laid it out. If I was like, okay, I'm going to teach Alex how to be a driving instructor, so I'm going to put these things in this chapter so he can learn. I would have it definitely more cue card set up, broken down than the way they do. So I'm having a little bit of trouble absorbing it into my brain the way that I
Yeah.
think they want me to do it.
Well,
But
there are a
we'll
couple of
see.
things on that one that we can talk about. I'd like to talk about, but
Mhm.
where are you going? Are you going to be having it at
My place, yeah, the
yeah.
one by me.
Yep. And if Teresa is your tester, just remember, man,
Mhm.
when she starts getting on her phone,
Sure, I think it's Nick. It might be a couple of people.
it's usually two.
Yeah.
I had two. So the story that I was telling, I'll tell the viewers this because it's a funny story. So I had my audition. I re-auditioned in because I had stand down for COVID, and then when I re-auditioned, I came back in, and the one of the lead instructors was going to be, observing my audition. So I went up there and I started doing my thing, and she immediately gets on her phone and starts texting, and she's like texting and stuff like this, and she's not, and I'm like trying to figure out whether she was playing the part of a kid or whether she legitimately, as a teacher, was trying to like set up her schedule or work on Paycom or something like that.
Mhm.
Your
And I'm
reaction
like,
to the test is part of the test, Mr.
yeah, so I
Davis.
couldn't tell whether it was part of the test or not. So I was like going along for a little bit. And then I said, I'm sorry, I have to stop here and do a little meta thing. Teresa, are you like doing teacher stuff or are you pretending to be a kid in here? And she starts laughing and she's like, I wondered why you let me go this long texting in class. And she's like, I've been sitting here sending texts like, how long is he going to let me keep texting? She was sending it to the other teacher.
Meta contextual.
And I started laughing. And I'm like, well, I was giving you like, professional courtesy. You're a teacher. I'm a teacher. If you were actually in my class as a teacher, I'd let you text because I'd assume you were doing something important, And it was just really freaking funny. And I was like, oh man. So yeah, that was a funny thing. So later on, I ran into her. We were talking about that as well. She also used a couple of the jokes that I used in class, and one of them did not land so well. It was actually very funny. She told me later. She was like, "Yeah, so that state flower joke you made?" Because I make this joke about every time traffic cones show up, I'm like, "Look, it's the Colorado state flower." Because we only have 2 seasons, right? We have winter and construction. And so those are our 2 seasons in Colorado. So that's the Colorado state flower. I made that joke. Sometimes it lands with the kids, sometimes it doesn't. She used it apparently with a kid that she was driving with. And the kid was so nervous. She went, really? And she was like, okay, that's a little, let's back out. That was just a joke.
Know your audience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't tell them the aristocrats joke.
All right.
No.
Tell them the aristocrats
So do we think they'll make westerns anymore? Well, sorry, looking at Donald's
Yes.
comment there.
I'm glad you got to that.
So Lauren and I are watching Firefly as we do every 2-3 years. We're almost to the end of Firefly right now, which is definitely a space western. And
Western.
And of course, there's Cowboy Bebop, which of course, these things are old. Like we were like looking at Firefly, it's like, wow, this came out like 20 years
2002.
ago. And but it's like, I think that I don't want to call westerns as a dead genre. I think most of the stuff being done in westerns is something that is they're using the western theme or the western genre and the trappings of it to make a different point, whether deconstructing it or reconstructing it or something of that nature. I haven't watched a lot of it, but there's Westworld, which of course has different things to say, and perhaps played a bit more straight, as we say in trope talk. And I know the game is fairly old at this point, but Red Dead Redemption 2 has stuff to say about the westerns as well.
It really does.
I think that I like people delving into westerns because it delves into American mythology. And there's so much of there's so much of Americans' conception of our history that is mythology. It's not actual history that I dig it. And like I think out of the three of us, I might be the person who's most into westerns. Like I actually read Lonesome Dove for the first time like last year.
Oh wow.
Part of it was because my mom worked in Lonesome Dove.
Your mom.
My mom.
All right, we should plug our
Now we should
So
plug
that-
them, huh?
plug them like cowboys do at high noon.
All right.
Plug
All right.
'em.
Well, you know how this goes, guys. Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, and your mom.
Your mom. Yeah, and we as a family recently just watched. We watched the entire first season of Briscoe County Junior.
Yeah.
Which in some ways plays it straight, but in other ways is very,
Mhm.
very. There's some commentary in there.
Yeah.
And then it's just interesting, like
Yes.
like the Western question.
Yeah, Westworld, the new HBO one, which Donald mentioned Westworld was big in the 80s. Yeah, the movie was. And the new Westworld HBO Max series is really interesting. And I would say their third season, some of the best cyberpunk I've seen in a while. So you could even just skip the first two and watch the third. You'll miss some of the character development, but they introduce a new character that's kind of is the character they follow throughout the third season. And it's very cyberpunkish. Westworld it fell at the tail end of that of Game of Thrones was so popular. A lot of people were like, what's popular? Because there's a lot of naked boobies and blood and death and gore. So we have to have that in everything we make. And so they cram a lot of that into Westworld, which if that's your thing, you should watch it because it's all in there. I think it was an interesting show. I think it was a little too intelligent for some people because it doesn't do the we're telling you a story in the classic way that stories are told. Instead, it's like, okay, you better stick with this because something's going to happen, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to be saying what's going on.
Sweet.
And
I should watch more of Westworld then. I love that kind of stuff.
I actually really liked the first season. I did not get to see the second season because we lost our HBO.
Did you check under the
we
couch?
we had the free thing going for us for
when
a
you
while.
say we, was Mariah actually watching that? That's pretty gory.
No. It's she wasn't watching it with me. I was just
Okay.
But we had HBO for a while, and then I watched Westworld while drawing and things like that. It's usually what I do is I've got either I'm streaming or I'm not streaming and drawing, and when I'm drawing and not streaming, I tend to watch something up here on the monitors. So I like to watch those things too when I know that they are not going to be ones that anybody's going to care for.
Mm-hmm. But during the pandemic, I finally watched the Big Western. Oh,
that Big Western,
the one that
Hateful Eight.
No,
the Bad and the Ugly.
The series, the HBO Max series, or Showtime, or whoever it was, with
there's still like modern day westerns being made. Like
good Lord, why am I forgetting the name of it?
I've been
Deadwood?
drinking like a 12% alcohol ABV beer. So yeah,
Deadwood.
I haven't watched the Deadwood movie, but Lauren and I watched the Deadwood series when it was coming out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie is very much, you could tell it was they were really sorry that your show got canceled. We know you wanted closure. We finally got this movie put together for you.
Cool.
So yeah.
Down.
But then of course the last movies that I saw was a while back with Tarantino films, Django and
Django.
Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight, as Lauren likes to say.
And then of course there's they were shooting a Western movie when that tragedy happened with Alec Baldwin. The movie was called Rust. So they are still making Westerns. It's just I don't know if the target audience, they're gonna have to do something to really, I think, get the younger people interested in it, and it's going to be about the storytelling. I was just scanning here to see what they have, and many of these I never heard of. 2022 Prairie Terror on the Prairie. So I guess there are some current ones. They just aren't being pushed a lot.
Yeah, it came out years ago, but there's the Joe Abercrombie does a bunch of kind of grim dark fantasy or maybe noble dark fantasy novels that I really enjoy, and one of them, the 6th book he put out in the series, is a straight up Western. Like some people's kind of ranch gets attacked, kids get kidnapped, the characters go on the trail to go hunt down the kidnappers. They go onto a They go on to basically a wagon train going out into these like dilapidated, like used to be high empire, but has now devolved into warring tribes and stuff. It's basically a Western without gunpowder, including frontier towns and such. It's amazing. So the name of that country, the name of that book is Red Country.
I'm finding the alternate history stuff to be kind of cool, or alternate universe, alternate world. Like I'm really liking His Dark Materials. You know what I mean? I'm liking the universe and the culture that they've invented for themselves.
You never read those books?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Isn't
those books are good. They came out like heck, and then
I mean, I know they're good. I just reasons, you know, like
you can't read everything, but I was just kind of surprised.
And it was, you know, and of course, you know, as I know I've seen them because I saw them as a kid, maybe as a young adult, but still, like, I was like, well, I don't know. You know, I'm into heavy sci-fi, so why would I watch this stuff? Yeah. And as I grow older, I'm like, well, I've been missing out on it. There you go.
Plug.
So yeah, as a preteen, my brother is really into westerns and was trying to get me into them. And the movie that I really liked was called Red Sun, with Toshiro Mifune and Charles Bronson.
Mm-hmm. Weird.
I
can't believe that was a thing you'd be into.
I know. It's like, if we put samurais in it, he'll watch it. So.
Now I wasn't like super into westerns, but I enjoyed them as a kid and stuff, and it's something that was like kind of always on Sundays and whatever around the house. So like I'm playing Red Dead Redemption, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a scene from that one movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Oh yeah, this is from that one book. Oh, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Oh yeah, this is totally out of Painted Red, you know. And I'm like, yeah, no, it was really. I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2 yet, but Red Dead Redemption 1 was like this love letter to the Western genre.
Yeah,
and like even like we were like someone said like there's this. It is a hold on the American psyche. Like Lauren's favorite comic book is Preacher, which is so steeped in American mythology and the Old West. It's wild.
Yeah, and interesting that that's the case. I mean, it makes sense knowing Lauren. It makes total sense, but still.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, don't watch the Preacher show. It's terrible. Don't waste your time.
I watched just a little bit of the first episode and went, yeah, no.
We watched the entire first season because we love Preacher, and it's like it started off at a 7. It went downhill really quick. It came back up to like a 5, went downhill again, and it came up to like a 6. And we're like, we're not Preacher. We gave you the old college try. We're done.
You did your best. You did your bit for King and Country.
We love you, Preacher, but we're glad Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon got paid, because this show is kind of shit.
Right.
The other Western was Wild Wild West, the TV series.
I never saw the series on that.
First.
I don't know how it aged. It probably did not age very well.
It wasn't kind of like Briscoe County. There's like a little bit of like high technology.
Or like a Western American version of the Avengers, the old British spy show.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has a lot of the campy tongue-in-cheek stuff in it, but fun action. A lot of the stuff I was doing with our steampunk game, I was modeling after that, such as the group having their own train as like a base. But that's one of those where when I had heard they were turning it into a movie with Will Smith, I got super excited. And then when I saw the movie, I was really sad. Like, oh.
I had no connection whatsoever to the original TV show, and I watched that movie and I was pretty sad.
Mm-hmm. The big the Kevin Smith connection to that and Superman connection.
I've had just enough to drink that I don't remember, but okay. I think I've heard this. But by all means, tell our audience.
So Kevin Smith was going to direct a Superman movie, and the producer wanted Superman to fight a huge giant spider, And Kevin Smith's like, he doesn't. That's never happened in the comics. That's not in canon for Superman. It's stupid. And they could not get past that thing. And so Kevin Smith said, "I'm not going to be your director," and ended up not making the movie. The same guy who wanted the big spider was one of the producers on the Wild Wild West movie, and had a big giant steampunk spider in it. And so when Kevin Smith saw the movie, he's like, "God damn it, he got his big spider after all."
Is a spider made of kryptonite?
No, it's a big steampunk spider.
I know. I've seen the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
It still wasn't as bad as Fifth Element, but whatever. Fight me.
That's a horrible Western.
Yeah, Fifth Element was
terrible
a pretty lousy
movie.
Western. I'm going to admit that.
But Wild Wild West is one of those that I think would be is great if somebody wanted to bring it back as a television series, because they could update it. They could take like just the skeleton of the plots and just redo it and throw in some more blood and nudity, and you've got an HBO Max series. So,
Boom.
Bloodity.
Yummy.
nudity.
Oh, there's a new thing.
Yeah, I never
It's
saw
not
the Priest. I never saw that one.
That was with
And I guess sorry, I'm thinking about it now. Sorry, as I tangent Troy hard. Like thinking about what the Western thing is about, like homesteaders and isolated communities and fighting for survival against mostly nature, but also against people who are also fighting for survival, trying to fight you as well, just to stay alive. Honestly, there's a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff in that too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Oh well, Fallout is being turned into a series. I think for Amazon.
I'm not going to watch unless they have my Fallout experience, which is wandering around aimlessly, not knowing how to read the fucking compass, and being over-leveled for everything after that.
That cracks. Those things crack me up. I had that same experience with No Man's Sky in the very beginning. Not knowing how to the compass, but one of those. They didn't give you a tutorial. They just stick you on a planet in a broken down spaceship, and you have to figure out how to fix the spaceship to get it back up to flying so you can get back into the game. That's the tutorial. The tutorial is figuring it out. I had no idea. And of course, the problem with No Man's Sky was it's procedurally generated. So you have to get this one mineral or whatever, which wasn't anywhere within about 10 kilometers of my spaceship. And the planet had acid rains. So I spent like the first 5 or 6 days playing that game, running from cave to cave between acid rains and getting killed a lot. So there's a lot of tombstones on my first planet.
Compelling
like,
gameplay.
Why would you do this to me? And then later on, they kind of realized they had made that mistake, and then they patched it so you wouldn't start on a planet like that. And I'm like, oh man, dude, my character is like super awesome. I got really good at this, like dodging from cave to cave crap. It's like, now you can avoid all of that. But yeah, same thing. It was like they didn't tell you what to do. You just had to figure it out.
Nice.
I think the kid said something about that too. He was like, I hate games where you're actually pretty much just required to, look it up on the internet to figure out how to work the game, because there's just no other way. And he's like, I hate that. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I hate that too.
I remember I got hopelessly lost in Fallout and just sort of like wandered around just being a wasteland adventurer. And so then when I finally like ran into the main plot line again, I think B-Dan had to tell me like, yeah, this is how it works. I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Sure, whatever. Apparently didn't work for my brain. So like I get to the point where they in Fallout 3 where they do the whole thing where like the dad heroically sacrifices himself. And I'm like, I'm at least twice the level you're supposed to be at that point. And I'm like, he's like, run away, son. I'm being voiced by Liam Neeson. And I'm like, no, Dad, I got this. I'm going to shoot that guy, go in the vat, shoot that guy, and shoot that guy. We're going to walk on out of here. And they're going to walk outside. I'm going to RPG their helicopter. We're good. No problem. Oh, I've heroically sacrificed myself. I'm like, man, I got daddy issues. Fuck this game.
I'm over it. I'm over it.
It reminds me of the first time playing Metal Gear Solid, where you sneak up on the guys having their conversation, throw in flashbangs and grenades, and go running in, and it's a cutscene.
Right. Like I remember one time I was like showing that game to somebody, the Greenwood crew, and I'm like, I go running up to like totally like I'm trying to get this guy in a chokehold. He's like guarding the grate, and as he like turns around, I dive. I dive and slide, and I come like right up to his feet. He doesn't see me, so I get up and I just deck him over the freaking barricade. I'm like, this is so stupid. I love it. But yeah, no, Fallout 3, like I actually had a really great comedic moment because in most games, of course, it takes a little bit of practice. I'm a goddamn surgeon with grenades. I'll bounce them a couple times in order to get them around stairwells to kill people. Like I'm just great at it. I hadn't gotten to that level of proficiency with Fallout yet because I only had like 2. And I come out of some subway thing and I hear these, and I'm kind of creeping around. I'm all super paranoid. I hear these guys talking like, "Yeah, you're supposed to be coming out this way, blah blah blah." I'm like, well, I don't know if they're talking about me, but they might think it's me, so I better fucking kill these fucks. And so I go, okay. So I'm hearing the sound. I'm like, okay, here, and I'm going to throw my grenade. Like, here, this will do. And this is like the first grenade I've thrown in the entire game, and it totally bounces off the stairwell wall at my feet and detonates. Like, there he is. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. So I'm already like down to like a quarter health. I go up and I freaking kill these fools. So I'm like, take your lumps. Keep playing.
Go ahead.
It's a thing.
They should have in a game where you could pick up a rock and just practice throwing so you can get used to the targeting.
Oh, that'd been great. There might even be that, but I was like, whatever. I got this.
Yeah.
Whatevs. I don't need that. What could possibly go wrong?
I had to kill 3 freaking bounty hunters with my shitty pistol at the bottom of a stairwell. That's what. I survived the encounter though, so I'm like, you know what? I'm taking my lumps. A Man Without Scars is an unwritten book.
There. We'll go here. Where are we going? This is how this ended up.
Fun. So I was going to ask a question since this has been popping up on Facebook, which I know Alex is not frequent, but a few of our friends have been talking about the cancel culture stuff. Has something recent happened, or is it just people circling back around to it?
Yeah.
Has somebody been canceled recently?
We have one particular buddy who is having particular problems with that because there's issues involved there. But I don't think that that's.
Oh,
the only reason that really showed up was because he had popped that out as a meme, and I was replying because the meme effectively was we should replace cancel culture with common sense. And I was like, it won't work because cancel culture is just vigilanteism. And that there's no common sense in vigilanteism. That's just
so that started a snowball.
Yeah, and it's just he's arguing with me because he has been wronged by cancel culture, and I'm like, and so he's trying to say that's because cancel culture is bad and we should just replace it with common sense. And I'm like, it's not. Cancel culture is just vigilanteism. It doesn't matter. You've been wronged by vigilanteism, and that's why vigilanteism is bad. Because as long as you've got a vigilante, you have exactly one judge and jury. If you put 12 or 13 of us together, we can at least come up to some reasonable objectivity. That's the hope. That's why you have a jury. So I'm like, that's the breakdown of vigilanteism. That's why we should never do vigilanteism, is because and he was talking about these things and he was like, well, yes, but, and I'm like, okay, but think about this. Like, Batman is a vigilante. In order to keep Batman stabilized in comics, you have to have caricature bad guys because they have to be absolutely bad, because if they are even the slightest bit good, Batman becomes the bad guy.
To bring it back to Venture Brothers, there's an episode where Captain Sunshine, who's voiced by the guy who used to voice Batman before he died, and is just like a Superman analog, grabs the Monarch, one of the main bad guys, and throws him into prison. Says, he won't be messing around with anybody else for a while. And he's like, "What? You never heard of due process?"
Right. Well, and that's
But-
part of the reason why we have the vigilanteism now, is because in the due process, you know, we either, that's part of it, is like we either trust that the authorities will do their job, or we start to build a revolution, and that's the way it goes. So vigilanteism is an offspring of not trusting that the authorities are doing their job. Whether the authorities are the police or your local, you know, CEO at the company, whatever it is, you know.
Ever have human societies and cultures had societal pressure on people to not do things they don't want to be done, whether it's talking about things or behaviors or whatever? Cancel culture is just a name, a label on this thing, to me, that humanity has done for literally thousands of years.
Oh, we've always done it. That's actually how we keep ourselves in line, is by shame.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So
the nature.
I posted something in private chat, which is from Some More News, which I love. Cancel culture isn't a thing, you snowflakes.
Yes. But
So,
I mean, all we're doing is just discussing that whole thing. And
Okay. Well, I actually missed the second part of that. Somebody else had posted another thing, which I assume must have been spawned off of that. But to me, it's one of those things where it's someone or a group of someone's decide they are against a thing and raise their voices to get everyone else to also raise their voices against a thing, which has issues because when the whole thing happened with Johnny Depp, it turned out he wasn't guilty.
no, that's the point he was making.
Oh, was there?
And that's,
did he bring up
and
Johnny
that's
Depp?
what I was saying was, I said that's the drawback of vigilanteism.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't have a vigilanteism system. I mean, like, I'm not saying cancel culture doesn't exist. What I'm saying is it's vigilanteism. And you don't want vigilanteism, because then you have exactly one judge and jury and executioner.
oh no, you can have a mob.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what happens, is that you turn the mob, and because you've made the decision, somebody has made a decision. I've decided that Alex is bad, so I make a case to turn the mob against Alex.
Bring it.
That's fine, but I have become the judge, jury, and executioner in that process. So once Alex is wiped out by the mob, and then I go, oh, I must have been wrong. Well, you can't undo it then. You know, it's too late then. The vigilanteism has occurred. And Johnny Depp is a great example of that.
I don't know about that. That guy's a creepy old guy, and he has actually, like, he's had a history. So I'm not about to go that far. But to bring it back to old Westernism, sometimes people just need killing.
It's just totally reminds me
where
of,
I was going, but okay.
totally reminds me of when they came up with the show 1 versus 100, and Alex is like, "Is this a show where one guy fights 100 and I want in?" It's like, no, it's not. It's some other stupid show that has nothing to do with fighting. But
way to break my hopes and dreams
know.
that I just had for like 5 seconds, Troy.
right,
Yeah, just use the sheriff for a while. Yeah, I mean, it's all about who has the monopoly of violence.
Yep.
Let's bring it to poli-sci, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the whole thing. So, I mean, I love studying this kind of thing and discussing this kind of thing. It's fascinating to me. And so, but yeah, that's what's going on, is that this was brought up. I don't know what the story is, but I mean, for me, I'm just like, seems to me like cancel culture exists simply because it's vigilanteism.
well, we have the ability to talk to thousands to millions of strangers in a second.
that's the Penny Arcade theory of internet fuckwatery or whatever. It's like a normal person plus anonymity plus audience equals total fuckwad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's the way it goes. Naturally, we have to do all of the reconnecting to all of this stuff now.
I wonder if people who are more sober than I would be like, okay, how drunk is Alex? We can tell from episode to episode.
We need to put a little bar like in the
A little
Sims.
meter.
A little meter.
Suddenly, when we have seconds before I have to start my show, it's doing the Facebook has disconnected everything, so you're gonna have to authorize everything again. And we've sent 2 factors and everything to you too, so that's all gonna have to be done. Sorry.
It's 2 are good or bad. I'm a lightweight.
Well, no, I'm just
Like
now.
I actually had 2 drinks in public last night, which is crazy. I almost never drink when I go out dancing, and usually when I drink out in public, it's only 1.
Was it buy one get one free night?
No, I was celebrating.
Oh, okay.
So Mariah bought me a drink. Thank you, Mariah. And then I bought my own drink at about 11. We left about 12:15, and I danced my ass off, so it was great. It's fun.
Cool. What else is there in our last 3 minutes that we have?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just totally got.
Oh, Donald wants us to do sponsors again.
Again. We can double up on the sponsors. Maybe
Give us
Donald
more money.
missed it the first time we did it.
Could be.
Oh.
I'll do the sponsors one more time.
But yeah, I mean, scapegoat. Yeah, no one likes to be thinking that they or anything that they agree with is to blame. No one likes that.
Mhm.
Self-examination is hard. It hurts.
Yep. Hang on.
Seeing guys Adam's apple.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to do this so that I can get these 2 to work together side by side, and it's difficult.
I think we were so subtle with our sponsorship that we snuck it. We stealth rode it past Donald. All right. Geek Tank is sponsored
Hang
by...
on. I got this. I got this.
Gotta do the crawl.
All right, there. Because you got to do the crawl, man.
I was getting to
Geek
it.
Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, and Your Mom.
Your mom.
All right, now we've done it.
Mhm.
Now we've done it.
All right. You got your next
Yeah.
show set up? Ready to go?
So that's what we got today. Is that thing?
You got your show set up for your next show?
Moms
Are
are
you
great.
guys
There's a way I could mute the audio on this thing.
I'm going to name my next boat that I get in Sea of Thieves Your Mom, the big one. So people, sunk your mom.
I think maybe the big one would be a better name
The
for a
big
ship.
one. Yes. Someone's probably already used that one.
Probably. Someone's probably use your mom.
Yeah, probably.
That was
I
my
mean,
rapper name and Rapper the Rapper.
I'm here. Look
Look at that ship out there. That ship is certainly not as big as your mom.
They made a second one of those that apparently is really hard to find.
Your ship is like your mom. Guys getting off and on all day.
Full of semen. Classic
Man.
submarine joke.
Yep.
Gonna take a. Oh man, just don't
When
wanna
we get
involved
big.
with wind jokes. So many wind.
I think what's more likely is we'll just throw out our logo out there for you to just go get your own T-shirt.
No, we're gonna spend like next 10 years trying to build an audience, and then we're gonna make T-shirts made, and we're gonna spend the next 2 years giving them away.
Right. Well, I wonder how hard it is to get stuff printed on the inside of a shirt, so that way you can flip up the shirt and it says your mom, like inside of it.
I can't. Okay, well, this was a stupid idea.
Are you referring to starting a podcast? Maybe
No,
so.
I was
Podcast
referring to the idea.
merch.
I've got a 5-minute lead so that people can join our
Drunk
stream
Alex.
over on Quack, and I can't hear you guys over the music of my 5-minute lead, and I can't turn off the 5-minute lead, and I can't mute it, and I can't shut it off, and so all it just really means is that this is a stupid idea. So, okay. Anyway,
Speaking
so
of
I'm going to
ideas-
go ahead and
Yeah.
leave now. So
I'm sorry, Mariah. I forgot to get my earplugs case back from you.
yeah, earplugs. Something about earplugs. I don't know. Music and earplugs.
I never actually borrowed them from him.
She never actually borrowed them from you.
I'm
So
drunk.
there's that.
All right.
check my pockets.
Thanks, Donald. Thanks, Brent. Really appreciate you guys
For being
showing up.
here. We will
Yeah.
talk to you guys later. And I appreciate you all joining us. And as always, I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.